What's up, everyone? My name is Marissa. Welcome to my divination channel. Just really quick about me. My intention and my purpose in this incarnation is assisting others in experiencing deeper amounts of peace and grace and ease and fulfillment within their incarnation. And I do so by assisting those within their spiritual journey and expanding their lens of perception. And in so doing, the intention is to align with your unique soul's blueprint in order to achieve your highest destiny possible and to complete whatever mission or plan that your oversoul had for you guys within this incarnation. All right, and this is one of the many forms that I've been guided to do this throughout this life. And today's readings, we are actually diving into what has shaped you to being the individual that you are now. At this point within your lifetime. Okay, so the internal and external obstacles that you've had to overcome in order to be who you are now. So we have 4 piles that we are choosing from today. Starting over here to the left is group number 1. We have group number 2, group number 3, and group number 4. You can take your time. You can use a random number generator in order to select your pile or piles. And whenever you're feeling ready, we're going to hop right into these readings. All right, group number 1, welcome to your reading for what has shaped you. So I've already shuffled the Strength card back into this deck. This pile, we are using the Relative Tarot deck, and I haven't looked at any of your guys' cards yet. We're going to go through everything real time together. So before we get started, group number 1, I'll have you take a big inhale deep into your low diaphragm. Feel your low belly rise. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and release your in-breath. Exhale. And we'll go ahead and get started. So what has shaped you? Pile number 1. We have Magic Guardian, unlock the magic within. We have Stargazer, set your sights higher. Archangel Michael. Okay, so right away, I'm already getting the indication that you guys, what has shaped you and what has brought you to this point in time is you guys have always kind of been an individual. You've always known that you were here for something big. Okay, I feel like even since you were a young child, you felt a deeper calling, a deeper type of purpose. There's different words for these, different labels, right? You could say a starseed, someone that is seated with a light. There's different even like subways to define a starseed. Some beings would say that they're, just beings that have spent most of their incarnations on other planets. But regardless of, the terminology and how you would define it, pile number 1, it's very clear that what has shaped you is this deep sense of you are here with a strong sense of purpose, and there's something within you. You've always felt this deep thing, this deep sensation within you that you were going to do big things, that you were here for a big reason, right? That this time on the planet that you're here is not by accident. What has shaped you is that you guys have always seen things different than maybe the people that you grew up around. You kind of questioned the values of your culture. And I wouldn't be surprised if you've been guided to doing things and carrying yourself and just a lifestyle that is very quite different from the people that raised you and that you grew up around. But I am getting this sense, Archangel Michael is the Archangel of life purpose. Okay, so, and with the, Stargazer, that's where I'm getting the kind of starseed type of energy. And it's just very clear that you guys come in with, wield a lot of power, okay? And so we'll get deeper into your experiences. You are loved. We have material and spiritual prosperity, base chakra, by the book. Wow, yeah, this is like, it's interesting because I feel like this is kind of reiterating that energy is like, I feel like you guys go against the grain, whereas a lot of people kind of like follow where they're guided or follow where they're led or, kind of don't necessarily question things. You guys would be the types of beings that kind of stray from that, straight and narrow and figure out what everything means to yourself. Deep knowing. Yes, it's exactly what we started off with. You've always had this deep knowing that you were here for something for something really big. Okay. You guys have a really profound connection to the divine, and You know, I feel like what has shaped you guys is, I feel like regardless of what you've been through, I'm already called to utilize the tarot, but you guys have always known that whatever you're going through, there's like a deeper reason for it. You've always kind of been in tune with the fact that, like, even if you wouldn't call it your soul's blueprint, you've always known, like, through the adversity in your life and the kind of like, not really knowing, maybe even instability that you guys might have experienced in your earlier years. I feel like you guys have always recognized that there was like a deeper reason for these things, and that it was gonna, they weren't meant to break you, but they were meant to make you, So I am guided to utilize the tarot already. So what has shaped those beings that have been drawn to pile number 1 today? What has shaped them into the being they are today, please? We have the angel number 111 coming up here. I feel like even when things like, you guys have naturally had an idea with this Justice card that like, or this feeling that, justice and things like karma probably work a bit differently than most people would assume. Right? I feel like you guys have always been taken care of, like externally. Things have always worked out for you. We have the Queen of Wands and we have the Knight of Wands. So there's a lot of like curiosity here with my pile number 1s. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, I feel like you guys like have always felt that as long as you're tuning into yourself and doing the right thing, whatever that right thing means for you, that things are going to work out. We have the Moon. We have the 8 of Pentacles. What's really interesting about this, because with the Strength card and just the intro that I made to these readings today, there's this understanding that we have that, a human experience comes with its own trials and tribulations. And while I am most certain that you guys have had your fair share of internal and external battles, like I am seeing very great, this is a very positive spread, and not that you could ever really get like a negative or positive spread, but ultimately, like what I'm really feeling here is that your guys' lens of perception is already pretty expanded to the point to where the things that have shaped you, you don't see those things as necessarily negative. Okay, and so I feel like that's why there's such like a positive infusion that I'm picking up from this spread. Like with this root chakra here, I am getting the sense that you guys have experienced things most likely in your early incarnation that had maybe planted some seeds of insecurity, whether it's physical, I'm hearing sexual for some beings as well. But just like very like, those early foundational years, okay, feeling insecure in some way, like literally not secure, like, but this has to do, because it's in the root chakra, this tells me that it has something to do with like early incarnation, okay? So the foundation that was laid for you. And even though that happened, I feel like you always had a deep knowing that things are going to work out for you, okay? And you do come into this incarnation. What has shaped you is that you guys don't follow the crowd. You don't follow what everyone else is doing, okay? And I feel like you guys might not even realize like the kind of balls or the cojones that it takes to be on this type of path, because there is that kind of like persecution code that can tend to be active within someone with this type of blueprint. But you guys, like, I'm quite impressed with this based off what the guides are showing me right now, because you guys really understand. Like I'm hearing, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. You don't take these things personally. You understand that how people see you is a reflection of their own paradigm. right? And I feel like deep down, you know that you're here to be prosperous. Whether or not you have like an overflow doesn't matter. You've always been taken care of, is what I'm seeing. Like maybe even like a positive type of Jupiter placement where it just, you seem like very lucky, and or like maybe you've had like inheritances, or you maybe have like haven't, like you've had things gifted to you, like you inherited a home or like things to where you don't really have to worry about the survival things maybe as much. It's not to say that there wasn't maybe some instability and some karmic clearing that you guys needed to go through within this incarnation, or to like undo, like generational kind of undoing. But I feel like you guys have always been on this path of wanting to be better. We have the Knight of Wands and the Queen of Wands, and it's beautiful because it's like telling a story. It's like upgrading. So not only are we going from the Knight to the Queen, but it's in the family of fire. Okay, and so we see the Archangel's fiery sword here too. So this is telling me that you guys, what has shaped you guys are consistently on a path of evolution. The fire element is all about perception, okay? Having like a strong fire within your elemental makeup, whether or not it's in your astrological chart, it doesn't really matter, but I wouldn't be surprised if you guys do have strong fire placements within your astrological chart, okay? So fire is all about extracting it has to do with the digestive system. So it's extracting the nutrients of life, the nutrients from life's experiences, this deep knowing, right? And taking the juice out of it and asking those questions of like, okay, what was the lesson here? And how is this meant to set me free? It's like you guys have always had this natural ability to alchemize whatever life's experiences you've been through. And again, like, because I'm seeing such a positive outlook on this type of reading that could be quite heavy, because what has shaped many of us is through those processes of deep pain, right? And of deep heartbreaks, right? Because I'm seeing such a positivity and optimistic lens on this, I really do feel that what has shaped you guys is that like you don't stay down for long, because I am getting the sense that you guys are old souls, that you have a much more expanded lens of perception. Another way of saying that is you operate from higher densities. So with that starseed type of energy, it's like the densities you operate from, or that maybe you've spent many more incarnations within, are densities that, it's like you've kind of already mastered where Earth is at, is what I'm getting. So like the earthly game doesn't it's cute to you, is kind of what I'm getting. It's kind of cute, and you guys have compassion for your fellow brothers and sisters. You don't pedestal yourself. You see yourself as very equal, but it's like you celebrate. What I love about this moon card in particular, it's like she's just like popping champagne bottles. It's like you don't take it so seriously. You understand the nature of reality. You understand the nature of polarity. You understand that, these things, these karmic propensities come along with the territory of adopting an avatar for a certain amount of time. And because of it, I feel like, your generational karma, just like the karma you took on naturally, it doesn't really stick to you. And maybe in the beginning, the beginning years, it might have been more challenging, but I feel like the point that most of you guys are coming to this reading now, for the most part, it's like you have regained your sense of autonomy to a degree that many beings are not quite yet experiencing. Okay, and I do feel like maybe in some way you guys are here to teach that to other people, or maybe just through your own example and through whatever it is that you guys are working to build within your life. But I am getting this sense of slow and steady, and it's been one foot after another. And I'm not painting the picture and downgrading whatever experiences you guys have been through, but I am getting this sense of you guys have such a tough skin because you have had to overcome a lot, and maybe even in some senses felt like you were doing it on your own, because the way that you have been guided to go about things is much different than other people, because you have access to knowledge and ancient wisdom that everyone has access to. But I feel like for whatever reason, it was easier for your soul to access because you've already done that unearthing. I do feel like a lot of this, maybe why there's so much of this positive Jupiter kind of placement, regardless of your internal kind of agonies, whatever, is because this was a life where you were focused and really wanting to be set up on, Archangel Michael is here to help all other beings, right? All other light workers to remember their own light and to remember their power. It's like that notion of the lion waking up the other sheep, waking up the other lions that think that they're sheep. Okay, and so I feel like that's part of what has shaped you is understanding that it's not just about you, right? This life is not just about you. And so I feel like that's also what helps you neutralize this karma and see things from a much broader perspective and a much more freeing perspective, is because you're not so hyper focused on your life and what do you need, but it's like, okay, how can we all win, right? This is a very like universal kind of focus that I'm getting here. Yeah, setting your sights higher. This is not just about me. This is about us, my brothers and sisters, the collective of humanity. Yeah. And so I also feel like I continue to be drawn back here because the guides want me to hone in on this energy a little bit more. But what I'm getting with this Knight and Queen of Wands is what has shaped you up to this point in time is that you guys aren't meant to fit into a box. Okay. Like, not by the book, right? You guys are very like your own type of thing, right? I feel like the way that people might describe you is someone that you can't really label, right? Because it's like the second they think that you are one way and stand for one thing and can try to put a container around you, it's like you kind of surprise people. You keep people on their toes because you're deeper, you take your answers and your guidance from something that is not of this like world of like linearity, right? But it's very relative to whatever feels truthful in that moment. So again, I am seeing that like you guys just are able to burn through karma. That is definitely one of your gifts. And so also what comes along with that gift are those inherent challenges. And I wouldn't be surprised if you had taken on quite a bit for the planet and again gone through a lot of those kind of like deep agonies and really had to experience firsthand the suffering and the like psychosis of humanity, right? But I feel like because of it, at this point, I feel like you guys are very balanced within yourself and very excited about where you're going, right? Where you're being led to next. This kind of reminds me, I know this like represents the Six of Pentacles, but I am getting more of a Six of Wands type of energy here, where it's like, people just being in awe of you. And again, not even, I feel like it's, I don't know. I feel like maybe people can put you on a pedestal sometimes or think that you're like out of this world, but I don't think it lasts very long because you do a really good job at showing all sides of yourself. It's not just like this one perfected, like high-spirited version all the time. Like you show and you show the magic within all aspects of the human experience, okay? And so in so many different ways, you're breaking out of like spiritual materialism, just like mainstream materialism. You're helping to shatter people's perceptions of like how things should be, and just like honoring what they are now, and just knowing that the more that we just accept this here and this now, and that opens up space within us. And so grace is kind of flowing through us more. And just, I could go on about this pile, but I feel like ultimately, you guys have really proven yourselves very worthy to be in a space of really being proud of where you are, but I feel like y'all might be just like too humble to even say that sometimes, but that's okay, but just let me be the one to like convey that message to you that, it does show. The amount that you've overcome within yourself does show. And I feel like you just radiate this sense of serenity, and you don't seek validation externally. And because of that, because you're not putting on a show, I feel like you get it a lot, without asking for it. And yeah, so I could go on, but I'm going to leave this reading here for now. Pile number 1. I hope this brought clarity, confirmation, and peace to your heart. And if this was the pile that you selected today, maybe do we have an owl? Maybe leave an owl or an elephant down below in the comment section if you have nothing else you want to share. And I do hope to see you on my channel again soon. Much love. Hi, group number 2. Welcome to your reading for what has shaped you. All right, before we get started, I'll just have you take a deep inhale into your low diaphragm. Feel your low belly expand as big as it can go. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and release that in-breath. Feel yourself sink into your body and into the present moment. And we'll get started. I haven't looked at any of your oracle cards yet. We're going to do tarot real time, everything real time together, okay? So here we go. What has shaped you, pile number 2? We have Fire Guardian, ignite your passions. Hunter, track down your fears and desires. Ooh, I already love this combination so much. I'm already getting this like masculine type of very active force. It doesn't matter if you're male or female, that's not what I'm getting, but I am getting the sense that you guys are very active individuals, whether that like is literal, like you're active, like you go outside a lot and you like push your body past its limits. I'm getting this sense of like you don't settle. All right. Always, you know, the fire element is always expanding. It's always looking to become better. It's always looking to like purify its perceptions in order to experience greater freedom, which is essentially what tracking down your fears and desires really, you know, these go really hand in hand. Okay. The alchemization of fears and desires and seeing these things for what they are. So I feel like already I'm getting the sense that you guys have had many catalysts within your incarnation, like getting things that you want and then having them taken away from you and the suffering that's built in with that, right? And then getting things that you don't want and then like trying to push it away or trying to like figure out what you did to deserve these things and seeing the suffering behind that, okay? And so I feel like already like what I'm getting is that you are individuals that what has shaped you is following what feels right, having a strong inner fire and knowing that, you know, the times that you tend to feel off track or be depressed or whatever is when you don't have that inner fire. And then also utilizing that fire that you have, it's like that's the Shakti that we need in order to identify these things, right? It's like the whole notion of you can't solve a problem on the same level of awareness that it was created at. So it's like your awareness is consistently expanding. And because I'm just getting the sense that, I don't know what's going on with the people that are drawn to my piles. I just saw 222 on the clock, by the way, too. But the soul groups that are drawn to this channel, at least these first two piles have been insane in terms of levels of perception, okay? And so what has shaped you up to this point in time is understanding, you know, the spiritual nature behind reality, or maybe even just like the philosophical nature of reality in order to make sense of the human experience, so you can enjoy life, you know, because I feel like deeply what ultimately shapes you in your entire journey up to this point in time is knowing that it's supposed to be fun and knowing that, you know, it can be something great. And that this doesn't have to be a life just of suffering. You're like, I want joy. I want, you know, all of these things. And it's not coming from the sense of like denying the human experience, but I feel like it's because we're embracing all aspects. Okay. So what has shaped you? Think about it. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You guys are very meditative. Okay. Very like contemplative of the human experience, asking the deeper questions in life, which is what the fire element is too. It's very perceptive. It's very like, let's get to the bottom of this. Make a wish. So yeah, I feel like there's that very sobered sense I get of like tracking down the fears and desires. I feel like is this idea of being very like grounded and attached to earth. And then with this ignite your passions and make a wish, this is that, but I'm always going to continue to reach for beyond. And so despite whatever you're going through, I feel like you leave space for magic. You've always left space for magic. Even maybe in your most desolate and darkest of times, you're like, you've not given up. Not lost hope. And let's get a little bit deeper. We have awareness. Yeah, very expanded lens of perception for sure. Patience and planning. Yeah, so I feel like this is just a journey. I feel like you see life as a journey and you don't expect overnight results. I am getting this sense of like, again, always hoping, like, what is it? Like hoping for the best, but just like your expectations are just like, are grounded in reality. Thinker. Oh my God, we have thinker coming up right underneath. Think about it. So yeah, this is like what has really shaped you. I am getting a lot of hermity energy, and even like ninth house, Sagittarius energy. Okay. Virgoan energy for sure. Very contemplative. Yeah, let's see. Come to the edge. There is more of that. See, it's like you guys are very contemplative. Pile number 2, you're very like, you guys are extremely like a house unto yourself, like going into the cave of yourself. See how this hunter is like emerging from a cave, but at the same time, it's like you guys, excuse me, you guys are like have this fool type of energy, this almost like naivety. This is a very interesting energy. I want to get deeper with the tarot, but it's like, yeah, 1 foot on earth and 1 foot in the heaven, like a very beautiful in the heavens, a very beautiful balance, like very sobered, right? Of like patience and planning and very strong connection to the divine, to your soul's blueprint. And yeah, I feel like you guys also too kind of understand the path of Dharma. And so the more that you follow your passions, you have been shown that you see that your deepest fears and your deepest desires tend to be linked. Okay, and so that's how you go deeper into yourself, and that's how you grow in strength, right? That's how you grow in trust of yourself and confidence of yourself, is because you have an experience, pal number 2, and you see whether it's good, bad, or ugly. You have that experience, and then again, you go into the cave of yourself and you kind of dissect it. You allow the energy to work its magic. You allow that alchemization process to happen, right? What is alchemy? It's like the purification process. It's only burning away that which is impure, which is the idea that, the idea of fear in the first place is a man-made concept, okay? So it's like releasing the carnal mind from that of like our higher awareness, which understands that, this is all for fun, this is all for play, very expanded lens of perception, much more expanded than the average levels of most people on this planet, I would confidently say. A lot of meditation energy is what I'm getting here too, or at the very least, like going out in nature, like spending time in contemplation is very much so highlighted. And I feel like because of that, that's why, like, it's not, I hate to say that spirituality or connecting with the divine is ungrounded, because it's not. That's the most grounded reality that and connection you can like create for yourself. I feel like you have such, your expectations are so grand and so expansive because you have tasted the nectar of connecting with your higher self and connecting with source energy. And so now you also understand, though, like the operations of the 3D world. And while I would say things probably work faster for you in your favor and changes happen quickly for you, maybe more so than other people, maybe not, depending on who's watching this and where you guys are at. But there's also a sense that the things on the earth plane take time, but you have such a great connection to your higher self that you're cool with it. It's like you already know you're locked into your highest timeline, to your soul stream. And so that's why you have this like very carefree and this aura of like this gypsy soul, this aura of like being untouched by things of this earth plane, is because I'm hearing that phrase, laying not your treasures up where moth and dust will corrupt. Like your treasures are, those things, your connection with source and your connection with spirit, and being able to see through the lens of love, no matter what you're looking at, and see the perfection even in this world of seeming imperfection. Okay, so what has shaped pile number 2 to being who they are at this point in time, please? What has shaped pile number 2? Okay, take that one. That one wants to come up to you. All right. Two of Cups. So your relationships are catalysts, or maybe people that you've been in relationships with have deeply catalyzed your awareness. This doesn't always mean that it's positive. This doesn't always mean that it's negative, but I feel like you could even have relationships that are few and far between if we're speaking purely romantic, but I feel like there is a sense of camaraderie within the souls that you share this journey with. Okay. Yeah, there's more of this intuitive sense with this King of Cups energy and this going within and, tuning into the emotional guidance system. So what has shaped you, I feel like, regardless of, the inevitable heartbreaks that we might experience with being alive on this planet, I feel like you've not used it as an excuse to shut your heart down. And when something happens that brings up a lot of like pain in your experience, you're like, what is this here to show me? And you go into meditation. I'm hearing that what has shaped you is that you guys have been able to go, when you're experiencing that suffering, or that, you understand you're in a pocket of purification, you go into yourself and you do your best to get to that point to where it doesn't feel so sticky, right? Because, and what's happening there, and I feel like the guides just, for whatever reason, want to reiterate, is that, you're looking for the sweet spot, right? Truth sets us free, right? Because it depersonalizes our experiences. It's not just about us, right? I'm getting the sense that this is like you guys, I feel like when people hurt you or whatever, you understand the contracts we have as souls to help set each other free. And sometimes those experiences are painful. You guys don't really take a lot of things personally, I'm hearing. Okay, the groups today are kind of blowing me away because you guys are really extremely advanced souls, right? You understand from a soul level, we're all just walking each other home, and sometimes that means painful experiences, but you guys have only gotten to this place to where you're at in this level of expanded awareness because of how much you go into yourself, right? This really is the gateway into experiencing your divinity and into unlocking your soul's blueprint. The heart is akin to the cave. In ancient mysticism, those words were used interchangeably, the heart and the cave. Why is that? Because the cave is the place that the yogi, the mystic, and the sage goes in order to experience divine clarity, in order to receive divine clarity and divine guidance. All right. And then, what is that essentially but just being able to hear your role into seeing the overall picture. It's not just so much about you, right? There's this sense of like really deeply sharing and appreciating the other players in your life that have shaped you into who you are. The good, bad, and the ugly, regardless if you've had to walk away or whatever, but seeing it not just as like these little, these inconveniences or these moments that you wish you could take back, but you experience it as just, you experience those things and are able to see them as like just chapters in your book of becoming this version of yourself that you're meant to be. We have the devil. So yeah, what has shaped you, having to overcome. Yeah, there's a lot of like, it's what's so beautiful about the groups that I see, because pile 1 was very similar to this, where most of the cards were extremely positive, and when we think about the strength card, we think about the internal and external obstacles. And it doesn't matter. Like when you're operating with a certain level of awareness, you're able to see everything as the vehicle for your awakening, the vehicle for your enlightenment, the vehicle for your transcendence. And so that's kind of at least who you are now. Maybe in the past, you kind of got lost in it. But then you started, you utilize those catalysts and that deep suffering to go into yourself. And so then you started catching on to the game, pile number 2, and you're like, oh, fuck yeah. Like I like, this is fun, depending who you ask, I guess. But if people ask pile number 2, they would say it's fun. I feel like despite sometimes we all like get caught back up in the fucking play and the insanity of things. But for the most part, you guys the veil is very thin for you guys. Okay, but yeah, I feel like you guys have overcome many devils, many demons. Okay, they have not held you down, and if anything, you've like made friends with it, with those demons, those devils, or whatever, because you see the role that they were to play into being who you are now. And I feel like you guys are pretty grateful for where you are internally, from an awareness perspective, and maybe even externally too, and just maybe like really excited for what's to come. But just like being really content with just where you are now. 5 of Cups is like being realistic, right? So I feel like, yeah, there have been moments where you've been really okay with things as they are. And there's been moments where you have questioned, why things had to go how they were. But again, this is more of that contemplative. All of these women right here in this row are very contemplative. So even when we've been disappointed by life, I feel like you've kind of gone into yourself and asked, okay, what was my part here? And a little more and more as you did that, you kind of released the judgment you've had of yourself, okay? Because judgment is essentially what keeps us tethered to these things. And I feel like these are all things that you could tell me about because you've gone through it. Yes, this is so beautiful. You guys literally have the strength card coming back up again. It's very clear that this has been a journey that you are proud of, okay? And that no matter how much it's come up and no matter how much the external world would like to tell you how things are, you're like, I'm going to make sense of this for myself. And I'm going to go within because, the external world will always just want to pull you back into just this plane of polarity. But you guys are at a level of advancement that you understand that when you have that, the 5D very active, or when you're taking your cues from something much greater than this plane of polarity, the thing from which this plane of polarity was born of, things operate different. Things aren't as black and white. They're not as cause and effect-y. It works different. And you guys have had those actual experiences where things operated differently. When things should have gone left, they actually went right. And it's like, how? Okay, because you're in tune with something greater. You've not lost that childlike wonder and that childlike belief in magic, which is what this universe is made up of. We have 4 of Cups coming up as well. So I feel like if anything, this could have been like a very lonely journey for you at times, right? Because it's like you want other people to see things, or, people just don't see things the way that you might. Okay. And this could also be feeling disappointed in love and disappointed in relationships, because that's coming up quite a bit. There's a lot of Cups coming up. because I feel like you guys might be operating from a much more, how do I say, like, you guys are operating more from the realms of unconditional love than other people might be able to reflect back to you, because I am just getting the sense with all of this hermit energy that you guys are more of the way showers. And so sometimes it can be a lonely journey. I absolutely get it. And it's like, from the light that you guys are emanating, I feel like if anything too, you guys have shown what has shaped you is like, you, I feel like, have a deep love for mankind, but at the same time, I don't feel like you judge them or anything, but I feel like you kind of don't, how do I say this without it sounding bad, but I don't want to say don't place trust in man, or like you've given up hope for mankind or whatever, but it's like, I feel like you've just maybe seen how your light can trigger the darkness in others to a degree where it's like you're not surprised when they show their ass. You're able to hold them in compassion and to see the suffering that they may be in. But at the same time, I feel like, I don't know, I just don't think that you guys get lost in the story as much. You know, if any, and when we operate from this, it's like, from this level, it's like it's like, there's something so enticing about the drama. Why do we like dramatic shows or like reality shows, you know, because it's like, what's going to happen next? And so when you make this transition that I'm kind of seeing that you guys have, it's kind of like, oh, like, really, you know? And so with this come to the edge, I feel like you are learning to like have fun in the play without getting lost in it. But at first that can seem kind of just like, you know, the human drama, it's kind of lost its juice is what I'm feeling. But because so, it's like you're able to dance through whatever experiences are here now, and they're infused with a level of excitement that is not born from this plane, because that kind of excitement that is born from this plane is also born from just like, you know, distorted expectations and lust and greed, you know, those kinds of things. But it's not an earthly type of excitement that you guys are extracting your juice from now, and it's like becoming more and more pure as time seems to go on. So beautiful reading. I'm going to leave this here for now, pile number 2. Thank you so much for sharing space with me today. If you guys chose this, what can we use for this one? If this was the group that you guys chose today, let's leave like a ram horn, if there's this animal, what is this? Like a goat in the comment section. Yeah, you guys deserve goat, greatest of all time. You guys definitely earned that title as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, or a lion. But yeah, let's do the goat for sure if you guys made it this far. And I do hope to see you on my channel again soon. Much love. Hey, group number 3, welcome to your reading for what has shaped you. I've already reshuffled your strength card back into the deck. I haven't looked at any of your cards yet. Okay, we're going to do this all real time together. But before we get started, I'll just have you take a deep breath into your low belly, your low diaphragm. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and release your inhale. Feel yourself sink into your body and become present in this moment. And we'll go ahead and get started. Pile number 3. So what has shaped you? We have High Priestess, harness mystic power. We have She-Wolf, unleash the wild within. I love this so much. The last pile like started off with 2 like male forms, and so I love that I'm seeing this very active divine feminine force within this pile. So yeah, you right away what I'm getting, what has shaped you guys, is you have relied much more on your own experience of yourself, or at least, you know, oftentimes what shapes us into the positive aspects of ourselves could have its roots in its opposite, and maybe in its detriment, its negative form. Okay, so I feel like maybe there were points where you were you might have been relying a little bit too much or believing too much what the outside world had to say about you, whether good, bad, or ugly, you know? And so I feel like there's a lot here with the She-Wolf in particular, but the High Priestess is one that looks within and looks up, you know, looks up and within in order to understand not only themselves, but the nature of reality in general. And so I feel like what has shaped you are having experiences where maybe you felt disempowered to show up in your authentic self and to speak your truth and to be different and to just own who you are. And so now I feel like pile number 3 is at a point to where they're starting to see the amount of freedom and fun and fulfillment that comes from not taking orders outside of yourself. And, you know, the High Priestess, and with this full moon coming through, this does tell me what has shaped you guys is that you guys have a really great connection to your intuition, really great connection to divine guidance, to hearing your guides. Okay, I'm seeing wings here. So it's almost like you've been carried throughout these maybe even very dark experiences that you've had. You've been carried. You've been shown the light and the reasoning behind it. Because I feel like I feel like this mission that you guys are on, it feels like a mission, and it feels beyond just yourself, right? Like you guys are a channel to higher understanding, to higher truth, to higher wisdoms. And your role is to help ground that on the planet, because the she-wolf is like this type of leader archetype, this teacher, this kind of like can fit into the pack, but also, you know, it's necessary for you to be on your own, to spend time alone, right? The High Priestess needs to spend time alone and in darkness too, right? That, you know, literally or figuratively speaking. There's a lot here about the underworld with the cat, you know, and protection from the spirit world, and experiencing these darker aspects of your incarnation. So we have freedom. This is so beautiful. Yeah, I love it that they're all looking in the same direction. So you've always been very one-pointed in your focus, I feel. Very heart-led, too, is what I'm getting. Like, regardless of how scared you might have been to take the leap, I feel like you guys have always continued to leap in the right direction, regardless of how scared you might have been. Or maybe that's something that you're learning how to do more and more because you didn't do that, right? And you feel just like you have felt and recognized the inherent kind of diluted life, like diluted life, when we're not taking those types of risks or leaps. But I feel like maybe too, your life has felt very narrow in the sense of like your purpose and your reason for being here has felt very like, it just feels like you've been being guided, and it's a very specific role you're here to play. And it's like not like you can't really stray from too far from your path is what I'm getting before you're kind of rerouted and redirected. We have nature. So what has shaped you? Yeah, maybe it's like you have to go out into nature a lot. This could also be symbolic for the fact of being very empathic and what has shaped you, maybe needing to recognize the difference between where your field begins and ends and where someone else's field begins and ends, because maybe you guys are very sensitive and maybe there was a lot of judgment you had around that, and it felt like a curse, right? Versus the blessing that it is, the blessing of being, we're all empathic, but, I feel like the veils of separation, the heavier those veils of separation are, the less empathic someone seems to be. Right, and the more, the less those veils of separation are there, the more empathic we are. And so I feel like you're just starting to see what has shaped you as you were able, those things that you once saw as curses are now you recognize them as your greatest gifts. Okay, yeah, and what has shaped you, you see the amount of freedom that comes with being yourself wholeheartedly and not dimming your light, not dimming to fit in, right? Don't dim to fit in kind of thing. Yeah, feeling more and more free as the days go on. Firm foundation in who you are. This is so beautiful, because all of these have been very positive so far. And what this really tells me about the people that are drawn to my channel is you guys are the lemonaders, right? You guys are the ones that take the lemons and you make lemonade. You take these sour ass experiences in life that maybe most people would just like want to complain about. And you're like, no, where's the juice here? Where's the opportunity here? What is this here to show to me about myself? Where are my triggers here? Why are they gifts? Because they show me where I'm still caught. They show me where I'm still believing in illusion, still believing in separation. Not saying those are things that are inherently negative. No, it's fun. Pile 3 understands it's fun. It's part of this experience. But also what makes this experience more fun and this separation more fun is like when you're free to float in the game. When you're in it, but you're not of it, right? You're not getting trapped in it. But you're really playing because you're not like afraid of the consequences. You're not afraid. You don't take the bait of there even being consequences other than just being as free as you can, being as in alignment with your own integrity and your own soul stream as you can be, right? And I feel like maybe even too, because I'm seeing such codes of strong empowerment, maybe at some point being the opposite of feeling very disempowered and unable to speak your truth and feeling very weak. Again, this whole top row all looking in the same direction. Choose wisely. Community. and soulmates. Yeah, so I feel like your guys' ability to make this journey not just about yourself. There's been, I feel like, different communities and people that have come in and out of your life, maybe even spiritual communities that have really shaped your lens of perception, just certain teachers and teachings, overall just soul family in general, that has helped to shape you guys into who you are now. I feel like that's too where you kind of recognize greater amounts of freedom, is because you really do see, oh, like, yeah, we are all in this together, you know? It's not just about me, you know? And I feel like that's where, like, self-consciousness comes from, is when it becomes too much about me, right? Too much about I and my experience. And we gain more freedom when we realize this is a collective thing, you know? And as the more free that the collective becomes, the more freedom I experience. And so how do I help set my brothers and sisters free as well? I'm hearing there have been significant, like, love, romantic relationships in your life that have really, like, provided, like, no turning back moments. Like, you've never been the same after some of them, whether good, bad, or ugly. Okay. And I feel like you have maybe felt like, it's interesting because on one level you have a very narrow, your path has felt very narrow. But I also feel like at the same time, it feels like the world is your oyster and you can go many different directions. But I feel like despite the options that have been available to you, what has shaped you is your integrity to your mission. Okay. Your integrity to doing the right fucking thing, not the thing that's easy and that's going to, like, make the most money but, like, at the same time kind of like selling your soul. What I mean by that is just, like, doing things that are, you know, crimes against your own wisdom. That's one of the 3 root causes of disease, according to Ayurveda, which is an ancient, you know, over 5,000 years old, at least, you know, path of holistic healing and understanding of the nature of reality. It's called the science of life. Ayurveda is what it's translated to. Okay. And so one of the main root causes of disease is going against what you know best, what deep down is in alignment for you, or not, what is in alignment with your true nature. And so what has shaped you is that time and time again, you've chosen the path of alignment to your highest integrity versus, like, the path that maybe is going to get you the most recognition and the most understanding and the most, you know, compliment from your family and your friends, etc. Right? But remaining true to your own path. Okay, so let's get a little bit deeper with the tarot. So what experiences, internally or externally, has shaped pile number 3, please, Spirit? Yeah, so consistently rising, time and time again. Nothing keeps you guys down with the 6 of Swords. 10 of Swords, 8 of Swords. So there's been a lot of anxiety in your guys' experience. Again, I was getting that sense of really being able to, yeah, that devil did want to come out. As I was shuffling, I saw it every time I was shuffling. Okay, so we have 2 6 cards, so that's definitely significant. Okay, before I get too carried away, so with the amount of air that's coming up, especially the air, these 2 cards kind of represent air in its, like, detrimental form. I feel like there's been a lot of like anxiety in your guys' experience. And I feel like, too, that's where I was getting that sense of being deeply empathic and really wanting to understand, like, about anxiety, maybe even wanting to understand about the nervous system. There's been a lot of healing and a lot of seeking to understand your devils and seeking to understand these insecurities and these karmic knots that has really shaped you into who you are, right? It's like this desire to rise above, with the 6 of Wands energy, wanting to rise above these kind of experiences that I feel like maybe have kept you down for so long, or that you felt kept you down for so long, or for the life of you, you didn't know how to escape with this devil energy coming through. It's like those things that just entrench us, and for the life of us, we're like, what the hell? Like, when am I going to, you know, be able to get free of this? And the thing about with the 6 that's really relevant to know too is the 6 is a card of harmony and balance. And so it's like the 6 cards also say that things will turn out better than you expect. And so it's interesting because on one hand, you guys, I feel like, have this deep worry that things are not going to work out in your favor, and maybe that roots back to childhood with this 4 of Pentacles card of, like, waiting for the next shoe to drop, and, you know, that kind of thing, when, you know, good things going bad or whatever. But, you know, the really positive thing about 6s is things work out better than expected, not just in terms of finances with the 6 of Pentacles, but also in terms of, like, when passion dies, or when we, like, think that we're being guided in a certain direction for a certain thing, and then it doesn't go as we anticipated or expected. Okay, and so I feel like what has shaped you guys is this regeneration, okay, that you're consistently going through with this Four of Pentacles. And I feel like too, maybe you guys like used to live really like keeping your cards close to your chest. The Four of Pentacles is like the ultimate card for not waiting for life to happen, but there might be a tendency, or there was a tendency at some point, to kind of like live your life where things are just kind of happening, and it is almost like a karmic thing, right? It's almost like you're watching life happen, and you don't know kind of how to be an active component of your life, at least in early incarnation is what I'm getting. And the momentum of the karmic propensities are kind of what's taking over. And this is like playing with your cards close to your chest in terms of not making those short-term risks and like kind of settling. It's the energy of things could be better, but not wanting to take the risk to see it, not wanting to fuck around and find out. And so I feel like you guys, what has shaped you into this point is like, you're like, I'm not going to let this fear control me anymore. Like whether I do it or whether I don't do it, like, there's a risk in either one of those things. And I feel like the greatest risk, what has shaped you guys, is understanding that the greatest risk for you guys now is not aligning to your full potential, and not, fucking around and finding out, and not seeing what beauty and what can be created from this level of integrity that you guys are now operating at, right? I'm hearing that for a lot of you guys, the version of yourself that you are now, like there's a version of you 10 years ago that would look at this version now and be absolutely like astounded at who you are and the amount of freedom, and that is kind of my indication of how much this devil energy kind of gripped you guys, at some point, and not being able to speak your truth and just feeling like debilitated, right? But there was always, what has shaped you is always that desire to rise above, okay? And to not let your circumstances get the best of you, and not let your, internal anxieties that you inherited from the earth and from generational karma to get the best of you. And I'm hearing that you guys have had a lot of help in this realm and in other realms. Like, I feel like you guys feel very grateful, and you guys recognize that there are certain teachers and teachings and people that have really shaped you in a very significant way, right? And so you carry them on and you do good by them as you go out now and blossom and just shine and radiate. It's like, I feel like it's one of those things of, that phrase, like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. It wasn't until like last month that I realized that there was rest of that quote that isn't quoted often. And it's like, but when the student is truly ready, the teacher disappears. And so now I feel like the teacher has disappeared for a majority of you guys. And now like the reins are really in your hands. Okay. And it doesn't mean that we don't, still have community and have people that reflect, like offer really beautiful containers. But I feel like now your experience is becoming so subtle, and the amount of freedom is like so subtle in its most subtle ways, and what you're dealing with, like different devils, right? Different devils at different levels kind of thing. The levels that you guys are operating at now, I feel like it's a journey where, yes, you can be interacting with people on this earth plane, but I feel like a lot of the experiences that you guys are having now are experiences that you can't convey, because they're relevant to you and they're subtle, and it's beautiful and it's mystical. And yeah, I feel like this is a very good place to be in. And I feel like you guys are feeling very free for the most part, but not to say that those old, karmic propensities don't still like rear their heads, right? Because we're connected to this collective of humanity. So of course we're going to most certainly feel those things from time and time again. But I feel like ultimately you guys are at a point of feeling extremely free and very good in who you are. And it's only going to get better. I feel like you guys see that with each day. It's like, there's less and less that feels like it can like pull you down, right? There's less and less that brings you out of reality, out of what true reality is. And it's not what happens on the 3D form, but it's like where the 3D form is born of, right? That's more real to you now. And so there's not much that can stick to you. But the things that do, I feel like you welcome them, because you're like, thank you for showing me where I'm still believing in untruth, where I'm still believing in the illusion, right? Choose wisely. Am I feeding illusion or am I feeding truth, right? There's no in between. And so I feel like you guys more and more are recognizing that and really just like in a very subtle way, freeing yourself a little bit more at a time. And because so it's like the more that you free yourself on a level of perception, the more that you see it reciprocated externally somehow, more people are going to come to you now. You know, you're naturally going to be a guiding light for people when you're emanating and existing within these realms of truth to this degree. Is like there's going to be people that are coming to you like, how did you do it? How are you living so free? You know, and naturally, even if you don't ask for it, you just become a teacher. Okay. And I feel like, yeah, a lot of people recognize themselves in you, would call you soul family. And you're calling a lot of your soul family members to you, just like other teachers that have come before you. They're your soul family, the people you feel home around. You're like, fuck yes, you get it. And then they have helped set you free. It's like you're becoming that for other people now. All right, pile number 3. So this is beautiful. I'm going to leave this reading here for now. If this was your pile today, go ahead and leave a wolf or a penguin or a giraffe in the comment section if you don't want to share anything else. And I do hope to see you again on my channel soon. Much love. Hi, group number 4. Welcome to your reading for what has shaped you. So I've already shuffled your strength card back into the deck, and I haven't looked at any of your oracle cards yet. But before we get started, I'll have you take a deep inhale into your low belly, allowing your low diaphragm to expand. And when you can't take in any more oxygen, go ahead and release that in-breath. Completely relax and feel your shoulders sink. And we'll go ahead and get started. So what has shaped pile number 4, please? High Priest. Oh my God, this is so interesting. These are so beautiful. Wow. This is interesting. Okay. So we have the High Priest. Oh, we have Sage. Be devoted and committed. Intend and create. Okay, so yeah, show appreciation. Okay, so what has shaped you guys? I feel like you've had access. You guys are visionaries. Pile number 4, right? The High Priest is all about connecting to something that is greater than themselves, greater, like things that people can't necessarily see, right? We have the Horus, the hawk, the third eye type of energy. So having a very open and expanded lens of perception and grounding it onto the planet. So I feel like you guys have always sensed like a different way of doing things and existing and living on this life, and a different way of like maybe even like surviving. I feel like you guys are the type of beings that you have always sensed that the way that humanity does things is like a slavery system, and you're like, how do we break free of this, right? And so you've been devoted and committed to creating something within your life that reflects this type of vision. And hopefully, I feel like you guys have this hope to where you want to extend that to other people as well. Okay, so show appreciation. We have you already know. Yeah, there's a lot here about having a deep sense of like being very claircognizant, okay? Like having a very deep connection to just like intuition, in the sense of like you don't really know where this knowledge is coming from, but I just feel like you guys have always had like this ancient wisdom within you. You know, maybe even family members actually said you were an old soul, like called you an old soul. Yeah. Okay, let's get deeper. What has shaped pile number 4? We have spiritual strength. Okay, so yeah, that with the Sage energy and a spiritual strength, I am getting like 9th house Sagittarius energy from this pile. Very contemplative, meditative. Yeah, looking within to make sense of the without, okay? New beginnings. Yeah, with the 9 of the new beginnings, I feel like what continues to shape you is you guys go through a lot of like processes of like beginning cycles and then releasing. Like you guys move through things very quickly because it's like you extract the understanding of what that was there to teach you. I feel like you guys learn very quickly. Pile number 4, and so you're in and out of dynamics. Like I feel like you guys don't necessarily see things ending as negative, because there's a deeper part of you that understands that this was here to like grow you to in a certain way. And so of course, when you've extracted those lessons, you know, they're going to be released. Okay. And so you go through these like cycles of beginning and endings quite rapidly. Like you wouldn't stay in something in the same dynamic in the same way, at least, as other people might. So this doesn't mean that you're just like cycling out of relationships, but just like you know, the roles that you play in the relationships might change or something, or, you know, you change jobs, you move a lot, you know, more of that Sag energy I am picking up from, like, consistently on to the next adventure, on to the new thing. And the thing about poise too is, like, this is about recognizing that you're always being set up for success. And the fact that it's coming up underneath show appreciation, I'm not surprised, is because no matter how things have gone, I feel like there's always been this recognition within you that it's here to serve you. Okay, and so you've always, like, no matter what happens, good, bad, or ugly, you're extracting the positive elements out of those things. And you're like, thank you. Like, thank you for showing me. It's like you have such a deep commitment to becoming spiritually sound and setting yourself free. And I feel like you guys, this is a very spiritual group from what am getting with, you know, the wisdom that comes from the high priest, and then just having the sage come up and the spiritual strength. I mean, you guys are really guided by something much greater than you, okay? And so I feel like your life is a devotion, is a moving prayer. And I feel like when dynamics come to you, or like when something new happens, you guys kind of already are understanding your role that you're here to play, like for the other person, like what role, like what reflections they're going to get and what they're going to integrate, and like how that is going to be a lesson. Like, you guys are deeply in tune with the subtle nature of reality. Okay. And so you're also able to, like, when someone comes into your life or a new experience comes in, you already know kind of like what its role is in terms of shaping you, and what it, you know, in terms of like how long it's going to last. Right. And just, yeah, this is very interesting, very powerful. And we have message in a bottle. So what has shaped you is that you guys have always been in tune with divine synchronicity. And I feel like you've had many synchronicities since you can remember. Like, we're always very in tune with, like, the magical nature that makes up this reality, especially with the amount of spiritual wisdom that you come in active with. Okay. Excuse me. But message in a bottle just talks about, like, synchronicity. I think, I can't really remember, but what's coming up right now is, like, always receiving the message when you need it, right? Yeah, just like overhearing conversations. This actually happened the other day when, like, yeah, it's so crazy how often this will happen when I'm chewing on something and like my soul is disturbed in some sort of way because I'm believing in something that's not true, right? And untruth. That's why we suffer, right? And then I'll, like, come to the realization, I'm like, oh, like, yes, thank you so much. And then, like, I'll hear, I, like, overheard a conversation recently exactly about the like truth in regards to whatever untruth I was believing in. I found the truth and I was like, thank you. Yes, this is beautiful. I'm free. Like, thank you. I'm not in agony anymore. And then I overheard a conversation to where the person was saying almost exactly the same truth I had, like, unearthed. And it was almost in a way as my guides were being like, yes, you know, like, beautiful, job well done. I feel like you guys have always had that. You know, messengers come in many forms for you. Teachers come in many forms for you, not just in traditional forms, but from, like, I feel like you guys would be the beings that go out in nature and see that it's church, and to see, you know, the divine in everything, and to see just how pristinely perfect everything is, even those things that people think are imperfect. Because you guys, pile number 4, you were at this level to where you guys are so aware of the intricacies and the subtleties of what has shaped you and why things have happened. Like, there's so many, I feel like you guys, God, I can't even, like, explain this, is because there's so many layers to things. And you're like, if this didn't happen in this very particular way, if it was even 2 degrees off, I wouldn't have had that exact lesson that I needed, that held the exact key to unlock me in the exact way that I needed, right? And so you guys see the perfection in all of this unfolding. And so that's a certain, that is such a beautiful place to be in, because you're consistently in this place of renewal, right? You're always feeling brand new. You're always feeling renewed. And I feel like you have this sense of, like, anything can change, anything into, like, the laws of mortal man, as most people might be. Okay, so what has shaped pile number 4, please, Spirit? What else has shaped pile number 4? What has shaped pile number 4? Yeah, you maintain this, with this Page of Swords, you maintain, like, a curious a curiosity about life. I kind of want to let's get at least one more. Yeah, your perception is consistently expanding with this page into the king. It's like you have this like curiosity, but it doesn't remain naive. Like, yeah, there's so much here about an expanded lens of perception. All right, seeing things as they actually are with the Five of Swords and not as you wish them to be is actually like the greatest, you know, especially with this combination. It's like you are so wise, and I feel so like your spiritual strength and just where you're operating at is so freeing. You know, it's because you see things as they are, but at the same time, it's like it's through the eyes of divinity at the same time, right? It's like nothing is out of place with the Five of Swords. The 5 cards are all about recognizing things as they are, not as we wish them to be. Okay, and so I feel like even the parts of yourself that you wish you could change, right, or that you see as somehow being flawed, like you recognize the perfection in them. And so it's like, even if you don't care, like if people see you as a page or what, you don't care what people's perceptions are to you, because you recognize that, you know, the degree that people are married to their perceptions is the degree that they're probably in suffering. Okay, and so I feel like you've kind of really released yourself to a big degree. What has shaped you is maybe even caring too much at some point and becoming so lost in how people see you and so lost in wanting to explain like your good intentions to people, you know, or whatever. But, you know, I feel like what has shaped you is you realize the power in maybe not sharing these wisdom with everyone, you know, and just like not throwing your pearls in front of swine, not calling anyone a swine. I feel like I always have to make that disclaimer, but you know, there's a reason why that's said in the Bible. You know, it's like being aware of your audience, you know, and it's like you don't want to share these spiritual pearls with people that are just going to shit on them, you know. It's like they are not worthy. With peace and love. Okay, so the High Priestess. So yeah, we have the 2 counterparts coming up here. So I feel like this is saying that your masculine and feminine energies are, you know, what has shaped you is like you've learned to master both of those. You are mastering both of those as you go on. Page of Cups. Yeah, I feel like there's much here about forgiveness too. Okay, and understanding like the roles that we have to play for each other sometimes along this type of journey is not always fun. It's not always like feels good, but I feel like at the end of the day, you guys have such a great root and reality and just like the 5, you know, all the multidimensional nature of things and not just like right, wrong, good, bad, you know, like I feel like you guys understand that karma is not what the West has made it seem as like this personal thing that goes out to try to fuck people over for how we were fucked over. No, that's like when you're operating in true spiritual truth, you wouldn't want that. You would want everyone to be free, right? Because then we're not going to create more suffering, and you understand for someone to do wrong unto you that they're probably suffering, right? And so you just want other people to be free. But I wouldn't be surprised if at some point though you were, you know, maybe not operating in that and you were like, I hope you get yours, you know? So like everything that we are now, all of like the good qualities that we are now like emanating, like had to go through a process of purification, right? I had to go through that tough, like deep burning away, like the diamond in the rough, like a lot of pressure in order to reveal it, right? So yeah, I feel like there's a deep sense of continually renewing yourself with both of these pages, and like a beginner's mind is what I'm getting as well. Old soul, beginner's mind kind of thing. And lastly, we have the 8 of Swords coming up. Not surprised. So there is a lot here about perception. And I feel like, you know, what continues to shape you, pile number 4, is the second that you start to get too lost in like the second that you have a lot of anxiety, you already know what happened. Like you already know, okay, there's something here that I'm not seeing correctly. And so like you've learned to not try to fix things externally and try to like prematurely fix things like outside. You know, you take care of what you got to take care of, but I feel that, you know, you continually or more and more what has shaped you is maybe seeing the futility in trying to soothe yourself externally. Right. And so now you've learned to turn into yourself, to turn, you know, up, to look in and to look up, right? Look within, looking up. And I feel like there's a lot here about forgiving yourself and, you know, I feel like that's how we start to begin to have like true compassion for other people. What brings you to this space of true spiritual strength is when you can recognize in yourself, or in others, you can recognize yourself, right? And so I feel like there's a lot here that also is suggesting that maybe there have been like people that have done things out of envy towards you, or said things out of, jealousy, or, maybe not been so happy to see their rise in you, but you recognize that that is just their own inability to touch of the truth, or to drink of their own fountain, right? And so, yeah, I feel like also pile number 4, I am seeing that, yeah, I feel like there's a lot here just about new cycles consistently coming, like undoing karma, like to a very, like burning through it very rapidly. Yeah, but ultimately I do feel like what is being highlighted here is not being so lost in the earthly realm, okay? Like what has shaped you. And I almost want to say that maybe you have gotten so caught up in it before, but I am getting this sense that you've always sensed the underlying like illusion or the underlying fakeness behind reality. And I'm not saying fakeness in a way that is like downplaying it, but I feel like because there's such a highlight here of the air element and the family of perception, that this has really been like a deeply internal process for you, to where like your internal world is much more highlighted than that of the external. It's like the external is great, and I feel like you have maybe had significant things happen outside of you to catalyze you that have provided like deep suffering for you in order to set you on your journey of being like, this is a very spiritual pile. And so I understand that what goes along with that is the catalyst of deep suffering. Okay, but I feel like you don't even, like, you are so grateful for those things that have pushed you into that direction of psychosis or that deep heartbreak. You see how it was just setting you up to be this person that is so grounded in yourself, and that it's like the King of Swords takes his sword of truth and is able to cut through this, the bullshit that the Eight of Swords tries to bring in, because the Eight of Swords is talking about things that have no real root in reality. Because the realms that you're operating from, it's like, yeah, it's always interesting, and to each their own. I don't judge, other readers or whatever, but it's like when you are just like, when you're truly tuned into your soul stream, you don't need protection spells. You don't need that bullshit. With peace and love, like, if you are doing that, you're subscribing to the games of mortal man. But when you're tuned in, when you're operating from the degree that level 4 is tuned in at, pile 4 is tuned in at, these things don't touch you. And so what has shaped you is a deep catalyst of suffering, and really forced you into a very subtle understanding and a very layered understanding of reality, and to the point to where I feel like communication is a gift. You guys might even be able to like express things or have positive Mercurian placements. But I feel like it's to the point to where your energy just does the most speaking for you, because there are so many freaking layers that you are aware of within yourself, within other people, within dynamics, that you couldn't even begin to unravel. And maybe even some of you, that is one of your gifts, what has shaped you is like, you are somehow involved in the spiritual communities or something, to where you're talking about these things, because it's very clear that you have a great gift in doing this. Okay, and yeah, this is beautiful. I'm going to leave this here for now. If this brought clarity, confirmation, and peace to your heart, please leave a like or a comment down below. Let's see. Let's leave a sword. I don't think I did that for any other group, but with the amount of perception coming through here, let's leave a sword emoji down below if this was the group that you chose. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service, and I do hope to see you on my channel again soon. Much love.